She gets it. Okay. I'll see you at the bar later. We'll talk about it. Okay, the trauma.
No, wait, serious. This is serious.
Okay.
When is the last time you lied to your mother? Don't answer that.
When's the last time I lied to
No,
you?
don't answer that. You really don't need to ask me that. I don't believe it.
Probably.
No, we really do have to talk about something serious.
White lies.
Huh?
If you're a parent, you know how many white lies you tell.
What's the last white lie you told?
To my mom?
Yeah.
I don't know, they probably brag about their sleep schedule or something. They tell me to be good. They're going down at 7:30 and they sleep right till 7:30. It'll be great. Bye. She'll be fine. She'll be great.
Well, you really must have their sleep schedule.
All those beans.
No, this is really a serious question because we have to, first of all, we're so thankful that Matthew Shepard, Judy, and Dennis Shepard sponsored this time
Yeah.
with you. So,
Yeah.
and I know you just recently received an award from the Matthew Shepard Foundation, and I'm sure you've been able to spend some time with Dennis and Judy.
Yeah.
Such a difficult conversation to have when we go on tour occasionally, and Parker and I stand right there. You've been Parker?
Yes, we met at the burger stand earlier today.
Yeah, you did.
Which is a
And I
thing
didn't.
that we say. We met at the stuff shop earlier. Sorry.
That's okay. Matthew Shepard.
Yeah.
Parker and I went on tour, and it was called the Tour of Facing Our Fears, because it's every mother's worst nightmare,
Of course.
to be concerned about their child experiencing a hate crime of any kind. And when Parker, he'll share his story that when he was growing up, all he had was Matthew Shepard and Elton John to kind of comparatively.
Yeah.
And so Matthew Shepard, his life and death changed the way America talks about and handles hate crimes.
Yeah.
What was it like to receive that award? And you write in your book, The Murder of Matthew Shepard had a huge impact on you as a kid. I can only imagine. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we did not talk about queer people at all. And then the more I came to terms with my identity, and then the more I recognized some of the language that was being used, that's what pushed me deeper into the closet, right? Because the only time I was ever hearing about gay people, again, was at church and youth group, always in a negative light, and then out came the accusations and the insults in middle school and in high school. And when I started figuring out who I was, that's when the young person is living in the I'm Not a Cowboy chapter, and then I hear about this young man, Matthew Shepard, who was brutally beaten and tied up to a fence post by two men who took him to that fence post in a pickup truck. And then he died. And he was brutally beaten because he was gay. And I was growing up around a lot of pickup trucks and fence posts. And so that told me, you don't get to come out. You don't get to be that person. You don't even get to verbalize. You don't even get to ask what it means. Because I had no role models. I had no one to talk to. And so that was sort of the signal to me as a young person that this is how your country feels about people like you. Now let's fast forward to having breakfast with Judy Shepard and meeting someone and chatting with someone who's just a mom. She's just a mom who loves her son, and there was something about meeting her that I felt like it was 20-some years of pent-up fear and sadness, meeting this mother who just loved her son so much. And I'm lucky to have a mom who loves me now, but there was something about meeting that person. I don't mean now, my mom's always loved me. I mean having a relationship with my mother. There was something about meeting her that just meant so much to me, because I feel like Judy, in a way, is a mom to millions of queer people. They see a mom who fights, who continues to fight for the legacy of her son. And so to be recognized by them is a great honor, and a reminder of why this kind of work is important and why we keep moving forward. And I'm very touched. Yeah.
She's a beautiful, strong woman.
Yes.
I admire her greatly. And I know that it meant a lot to her to have you represented and associated with the Matthew Shepard Foundation.
Yeah.
But pivot a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to know just two things. What's next for you, and what brings you hope?
Yeah.
And then we'll go into questions from the crowd.
All right. Like I mentioned earlier, it's the young people. Young people give me so much hope. When I have these round tables, the way that young people just want to burn it all down.
Yes.
They're just ready to burn it all down because there are these adults in these big, powerful positions who are focused on attacking their humanity rather than doing the work of public service. So the thing that I've always believed is that public service is about making your life easier, better, safer, so that you don't have to. You get to go be a mom, you get to go be a teacher, you can do whatever you want because you're supposed to elect your public servants so they go do that work and you can focus on living your life. Same thing with these young people, right? You're in positions of power and leadership to make their lives safer and better and easier, and instead these young people are having to do some of that work themselves. And seeing that passion, and not only the motivation to do what's right, but that motivation for equality and inclusion, the way I never felt when I was in school. I never felt like I could go to the principal's office if someone called me the F-slur in the locker room because I figured the principal probably hated me too. And to watch some of these young people, especially in rural America, organizing and speaking up and spending their own free time as a young person, rather than going to the movies or TikToking or whatever they do, they have to go to the state capitol and rally and look at some of these people in the eye and explain to them what it does when you continuously not only attack their humanity and identity, but that of their peers. So they give me a lot of hope, especially at a time when it feels like it would be so easy to give up right now. I mean, the rate at which teachers are fleeing the profession right now, kids don't get to flee school, and they need leaders, they need teachers, they need people who care about them, and also young people are deserving of having the opportunity to just go to school, learn, and then go be a young person. And right now, not only are they living under the reality that you might not even have a teacher because teachers are fleeing, but then you also are under the reality of gun violence in this country. That's just known. So watching them organize and speak up, it is very heartening. What was the other question?
Well, I just thought of another one. What can we do as allies? What would you want us to know or do better or more of? Or what kind of advice would you give these beautiful people who are going to be going back to their hometown? What can we do better?
Yes, I get this question a lot on the book tour. The question is always like, what do you want to say to young people? And I always say, I don't want to say anything to young people. Young people are, they're doing the work. It's our allies. I think right now is an opportunity for every ally to ask themselves, when it comes to the term ally, have I given myself that term, or have I earned it? And I don't think I have to tell people in this room to do a lot more, because you're here, you're at a Freedom conference. Clearly you care. Clearly you have already thought about what can I do to stand up for marginalized people, the LGBTQ community, how can I make other people aware that I am a safe person, that I want them and value them in my community. You're already doing that work by wearing that shirt, by showing up. So typically I have to ask allies, think about how you use your time, your money, your privilege to actually benefit other people, because for some folks it's not enough to just post a meme on social media. But I was thinking about this, I figured this question would come up today. I think one thing that I would ask you to do is to think about how you're filling your cup. Because you're already doing some really hard work and much needed work all across the country. But it's going to be harder to do that work if you continuously give and give and give and give, and you don't take care of yourself. Especially for some of the folks who I got to meet some of the moms here in Oklahoma. Thinking about some of the activism you're doing and showing up, when I'm guessing you might be part of a small group of people who are showing up to be a voice of reason, inclusion, and love. If you're constantly giving and showing up, but you're not showing up for yourself, it'll be much harder to show up in the future. I certainly feel that way sometimes. I get that vulnerability fatigue where I feel like I just talk and I talk and I give and I give and I do like a media hits and you're on a book tour and then you forget to take care of yourself. Then you can't do the work anymore. So I would ask you to think about that. And there are other people in this room who believe in the mission, who believe they're doing the right thing, who know they're doing the right thing, but they might not be getting the bolstering they deserve or need every day. So think of ways that you're just going to show up for one another, because you're already showing up for so many young people or just LGBTQ people in your community about how are you showing up for yourself and how are you going to take care of one another. So that's the thing I would ask you to think about when it comes to your allyship, because it's not only allyship to the community, but it's allyship to one another and to yourself.